my father survives me, if I explode, if I go up in smoke, if I go quietly, when I go quiet, give my heart to my mother, she'll know what to do, give my songs to my lover, she'll know what to do, give my bones to my father, my poems to my sister, my love to one another, give it all to each other. And I suppose the soul can go to the children. I suppose the trash can go to the museum. I suppose the dreams can go in the casket. I suppose the blood will go where you ask it. Will go where you ask it. Will spill where you ask it. Will spill where you ask. I'll spill where you ask. I'll spill where you ask. I'll spill. I'll spill. I'll spill. I'll spill. I was once the tree, and I was the paper. I was the hair, and I was the razor. I was the leg, I was the table. I was the cloth, and I was the indigo. And I was the indigo, and I was the indigo, and I was the indigo, and I was a color girl, 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 and I was a color girl. Doom did. It's the blue light when we're out with our friends. It's the blue light asking where the night should end. It's the blue light saying, come over. It's the blue light, my coat on my shoulders. Lying in your room, playing with your hair. Lying to myself, saying that there's nothing there. There's nothing that we share. No reason to care, no way of knowing where this is going. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing? It's the cold light of the moon when I'm walking home.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very, very, very special episode of ABOUT Understood. First of all, before I even get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone who is subscribing right now and following. Woot woot, we hit affiliate a few days ago, I think yesterday actually. That is so exciting, and thank you to everybody who's been chatting, everybody who's been following us, everybody who subscribed, gift subscriptions. Thank you for that. We super appreciate your support and your attention. discussion. So let's get right into it. This is the very last installment of Andake Understood. So there is no next one. I'm so used to sitting down here every night this week and being like, all right, catch us tomorrow, but there is no other one. But you will be able to catch VODs of it currently on Twitch right after we broadcast, and we plan on polishing them up a little and putting them on our YouTube for all of posterity. So if you haven't already, subscribe to us on YouTube, Transplanar RPG. We have a very cool full-length trailer up there, as well as some other goodies such as highlights from episodes that are funny. So the next thing that's happening is episode 3 of our main campaign is going to be next Saturday, July 25th at 3 p.m. Central. That's when you can hop in and continue the Transplanar story. If you haven't seen it, the first 2 episodes yet, or if you're just joining in now, oh, thank you for the cheer, OMG. Or if you're just joining the story now, never fear. We plan on putting out a public Google Docs document of a summary of the story thus far. So if you don't have time to watch past VODs, or if you need a refresher after having seen them, that's a great way to get it. Keep your eyes peeled on our social medias, Transplanar RPG on Twitter and Tumblr and Instagram for more information about the recaps that will be coming out. Share them with your friends. It's 1 page per episode, even less so sometimes. A quick document, quick recap for you to just be able to jump right into the story if you don't have time to catch up on our previous episodes. So after this 5-part series ends, I'm kind of sad, but I'm also excited to move on to the next leg of Professor Chang's Tabletop Workshop journey. Professor Chang's is going to air Saturday, August 1st at 3 p.m. So that's the Saturday following next Saturday, I believe, after episode 3. And the topic of my discussion is going to be announced in the upcoming weeks. But rest assured, it will have something to do with hard GM advice. It's not going to be specific to the world of Andake. Oh, there it is. Though I do expect to be drawing ideas from this world to sort of illustrate maybe concrete examples of any tips I might give. So if you want to donate, if you want to cheer, if you want to follow, if you want to subscribe, please go ahead. But every contribution, every follow, every subscription, every cheer is loved and deeply appreciated. But as always, there's never any pressure, because I know we're all struggling in the pandemic, right? So without any further ado, I'm going to, how this episode is going to work, because it's a very special Bird of the Day episode. I'm going to spend a little bit of time just recapping everything we've already gone through for Andake Understood. If this is your first time hopping in to this 5-part series, I'm just going to quickly summarize everything we've learned and touched on for the past 4 days. And then we are going to go on, and I'm going to introduce the cast. The cast is with me right now, waiting in the backstage, waiting in the wings with their mics muted to be called upon, and they are so excited to answer your questions and to have a dialogue with chat. I expect this will be very freeform, the second half of this, and then we are going to invite everyone who isn't already in our Discord to join our Discord, and we're going to play some Jackbox TV games to celebrate Max's birthday and sing them happy birthday as well, of course, even though they will be very embarrassed by that. So let's hop right into the recap. First, let me take a sip, babes. So episode 1 of Andake Understood was titled Envisioning a Non-Colonial Anti-Orientalist World. Basically, I did a big overview. I defined my terms, non-colonial, anti-orientalist, and I ended up deciding what this meant for Andake was that a non-colonial world is one that embraces alternative ways of envisioning conflict beyond killing and pillaging the constructed other, while an anti-orientalist one roots perspectives in cultures that are regularly misrepresented by the West and pushes back against those misrepresentations. But perhaps most importantly, a non-colonial and anti-orientalist world is one where myth-making and storytelling is a process and not a destination, and fully embraces the notion that there is no one neat way to tell a story. And I sort of discussed some strategies, some examples in my own world. I'm so used to my camera being flipped. In my own world building about how I put together Andake as a world that we attempted to make non-colonial and anti-orientalist. This was a very good lecture. I'm actually very proud of all the prep I did for it, and I showed a little clip from Key and Peele illustrating why I think the argument, well, if you think orcs stand for black people, you're the real racist, is a bad argument, as well as some choice quotes from Volos to really illustrate what I mean by the D&D source books being a colonial and orientalist text. We also talked a little bit about Oriental Adventures and about Asians Represent podcast, who did a series, Asians Read Oriental Adventures, dissecting the Oriental Adventures, I think Advanced Dungeons and Dragons source books, literally like word by word. So if you have extra time, on a long drive or just extra time, definitely listen to that podcast. It's super eye-opening. So moving on to part 2, that was Tuesday, of Andake Understood lecture series. It was called The Old Guard, Disrupting White Histories. During this lecture, I defined the Old Guard in 2 different ways. The first way was about the Old Guard of D&D and of tabletop roleplay games. The Gary Gygaxes, the Wizards of the Coast, the Paizos, right? Like the cishet white dudes who are historically the gatekeepers of this gaming space, as well as the Old Guard in the actual world of Andake, who I identified as the 3 powers, the Kingdom of Tulong, the Republic of Talmud, and the United Tribes of Jukai. So for the first half of that lecture, I talked a little bit about what it means for there to be an old guard in tabletop role-playing as well as in Dungeons & Dragons, what it means for the world of fantasy gaming to be controlled by cis straight white dudes and their stories, and how it's very important to diversify and to push back against normative narratives again. And then I sort of segued into talking about Tulong, Talamad, and Jukai in terms of their cultures and their histories, as well as my philosophies behind designing them. So the third day, that's Wednesday, the lecture topic was the upstarts, fresh voices in tabletop gaming. So I defined the upstarts in 2 different ways as well. The first one is the upstarts in tabletop gaming. I gave a list of 8 projects, creative projects. This is podcasts, live streams, variety streams, as well as like setting homebrew universes that are like shaking things up in the world of tabletop gaming. I listed 8 of them. You can find a thread about the 8 projects that I'm particularly excited about on Twitter. They are, I believe, Utopia TV, Prism Pals, Jiangshi, Blood in the Banquet Hall, as well as The Legends of Aldamura, Monster Care Squad, Swords Fall Universe, Bolt RPG, as well as, let's see if I can just remember this off the top of my head. What else were they? There were 2 more. My lord, I think I have it on my phone, actually. If anyone can remember the 2 that I'm missing before me, I will do an accent of your choice. Unbreakable Volume 1, and of course, Fast Times at D&D High. So these 8 projects, very, very cool. Please check them out. All of the links to their social medias, whatever, are on our Twitter. And for the second half of the upstarts, I talked about the actual upstarts in the world of Andake, which include the Championship of Nabal, the Kingdom of Uhanahi, as well as the clans of Kirtal. And I talked about their culture, the gods they worship, etc., and my philosophy behind designing them. And for Andake Understood Part 4, the lecture topic was the outliers, creating from outside the industry. For the first half of this, I talked a little bit about my own personal journey in the TTRPG sphere, like how I got here from being a screenwriting and critical race studies double major, how I feel about someone who doesn't work at, Wizards of the Coast, who doesn't have like a huge live stream, who doesn't work at Paizo, anything like that, what it's like to create as an indie writer, and how I used my experience interning at the, various production companies and talent agencies in Hollywood, how I used that experience to sort of inform my like networking practices in tabletop roleplay, as well as my personal experiences being an outsider. That sort of transitioned into a discussion about the actual outsiders in the world of Andake, the final 2 major powers that are left, which are the Court of Ravens and the Commune of Moreaux, and I again talked about my design philosophies behind them. And now that brings me to this final wonderful day, where this is going to be a wonderful, very special Q&A with the cast, as well as a celebration of Max's birthday. If you don't know why we're calling it a birthday, it's because Max plays Dewey Cork, who is our Aarakocra Ranger, so they are a birthday. So I'm going to take a quick drink of water. I literally feel like an auctioneer. I feel like I talk so fast and rapidly that I'm like da-da-da-da-da, and someone could put like a beat behind what I'm saying. Okay, let us move on to me introducing the cast. So cast, this is your chance to unmute your mics. Don't say anything yet, just unmute them for now. And then I'm going to switch the camera in 5, 4, I hope the overlay isn't messed up, 3, 2, 1. Hello, we are all here and welcome. Let's just go around really quickly and introduce ourselves. I realize I forgot to introduce myself in the beginning, so I'll start. My name is Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. I am the GM and the executive producer behind Transplanar RPG. I love talking about horror, monstrosity, diaspora, critical race theory, and screenwriting. So if you like any of those things, hit me up on Tumblr at @DandDaddy Issues and on Twitter at @Chang. Hit me up in my DMs, give me a follow. I like to follow back. Let's talk. So let's just go around the overlay. I'm going to pass it on to Erica next.
Hi everybody, I'm Erica. You can find me here on Twitch streaming Erica New Girl. You can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr under the same Erica New Girl. You can find me anywhere, Erica New Girl, except for my home, I hope. So give me a follow, come check me out. I like to stream art and I speedrun a game. I don't
A gay. You speedrun a gay.
You do.
Speedrun a gay.
I am a gay, but are you not? Have you ever been a gay? Yes, I have. Anyway, and so I speedrun a game, Dave the Tentacle, which is a really obscure game from the 90s, and then I play like modern games here and there, like Destiny 2. And I play V. Nocturzo, that lovable, mischievous con artist, high elf sorcerer with a draconic ancestry. And with that, I will pass it along to. Actually, let's leave the bird day for last. Let's go to C across the way.
Cool. Hey y'all, my name's C. I use they them pronouns, or Z them pronouns, re them pronouns. Any gender neutral pronoun is fine by me. You can find me on Tumblr at pi-sharp. Sorry, I almost forgot. I did the art, the official character art for this campaign, and my commissions are open, so feel free to reach out that way. I'm pumped for this. And I'm gonna pass it to the birthday bird.
That's me. Hello, I'm Max. I go by they, them pronouns, and I just turned 21 like 2 days ago.
Yay!
I've never had something time. I play Dewey Quirk, and you can find me on Instagram, and I think on my inactive Tumblr at Starchmonger.
Yeah, that is where you will be able to find Max. Max, you are frozen because this is a fun fact about my Discord, which is that it loves to freeze Max, like specifically. I think this is an act of both transphobia and homophobia and racism, and I will be speaking directly to the CEO of Discord, Mr. Discord himself, about this sometime in the near future. And there is a slight echo going on. I'm not sure which of you is the culprit, but whoever it is, I know we all have earbuds in, right? Is it the bird thing, boy? It'd be funny if it were Max, but Max is still frozen, so I can't reach your face because you're frozen. So we're just gonna move on. We're gonna keep the hype train going, chugging. We're gonna move on to the Q&A portion. Oh, Max, you're unfrozen. Perfect. Before we get any further along, Devin is not with us here today. Devin, unfortunately, is working at a summer camp. That's not the unfortunate part. I don't know why I said that. Devin is unfortunately working with children this summer. No, they're a counselor at a language camp for the summer, and they got caught into like a last minute meeting, which is why they can't be here. So we miss them, but they're here in spirit, and they want the birthday to go well. So let's just go around and start the Q&A, right? Is that what's gonna go on? And then we're gonna celebrate Max's birthday after? Yeah? Okay, so
Yeah.
This is the chat. If you are a longtime lurker, if this is your first time ever, we invite you, nay, we entice you to send us a question, any question at all. If this is your first time, we're like, what the fuck is Transplanar? I don't know what the hell this live stream is. maybe read our about page first, and then ask a few questions about us. But first, yeah, let's get started with any questions. Anyone can just pop it in there. We're gonna try to answer them chronologically. Our beautiful, wonderful mods are gonna do their best to keep track of who came first, but we're also gonna keep an eye on the chat. So we're gonna see if I'm gonna check the live questions channel first to see if any came first. This is your time to ask questions of anyone. So again, Max plays Dewey Quirk, the Aarakocra Ranger. Erica plays V Noxerzo, whose last name was too big to fit on the overlay, the Elf Sorcerer. And C plays Okahye, the Osimar Bloodhunter. Thank you, Norris 00001. I almost said Ass Norris, and I'm sorry for almost saying that. And now by saying that I almost said it, I'm saying it. But thank you for subscribing. Thank you. We appreciate and we love you. I'm so sorry if this came off as mocking. That was not my intention. We appreciate you. So don't make fun of them in the chat. Stop it. So I'm gonna start with some luckily pre-prepared questions that we had. Oh wait, special Q&A questions. Number 1, when will Max get modded in Twitch? So Max is not. Yep. Max, what's your Max? Type something. I'll mod you right now. What's your handle?
It's Starchmonger.
Okay.
What do you want me to do?
So funny story is that like the first time that Max decided to like say something in chat, they got banned within about 2 minutes.
Because I come off as a robot online.
Which is so funny because Max is is our birthday boy and the player. It wasn't the first time.
Wasn't the first time they've been, right?
Short for Aaron.
You got the sword now, Starchmonger. You can ban people. You can
ban people. You have the ban.
Oh yeah, let me ban some random people right now.
Yeah, let's ban Tristan. Just kidding.
If we see one mail chip question, that
one
might
mail.
become a reality.
We're not even gonna talk about that. It's an inside joke, and inside jokes make people feel excluded. Erica, welcome to the family of subscribers, Nazi. We're so happy to have you here. /Aaron. So let's move on to the next question, which is, what would your PC say their biggest flaw is? / what is their actual biggest flaw? I'm going to give y'all some time to think about this. If you have the answer already, raise your hand. Until then, I'll stop for you with a beautiful song. Oh, great. Okay, V / Erica has an answer already. So Erica, why don't you start us off?
I think if you were to ask V what her biggest flaw is, she would say that she is too trusting of other people. That she allows people to just walk all over her, that, obviously she has such a big heart and obviously her actual biggest flaw is that she trusts nobody at all and probably never will.
Deep trust issues. I'll pour one out.
F in chat for V's ability to trust people.
F in chat. Yep.
Truly.
Wait, can we all take a sip of water at the exact same time? C, do you have a water bottle next to you? Take a bite of pizza.
I ate it all.
You ate all the pizza in like 15 minutes?
Okay, we're reconnected. We're back. We are back. If you could hear me like click clacking earlier, that was me being hacking OBS Studios and Twitch and getting us back online. So you can thank me for that. And that was all completely on me. Okay, so so let's get back into it. V, why don't / Erica, why don't you very quickly recap what V's thinks their biggest flaw is and what her actual biggest flaw is?
So V would tell you that she's too trusting of people, that she's allowed she does too many good things out of the goodness of her heart. And her actual flaw is that she doesn't trust anybody, and it would be very difficult to make her trust somebody.
Great. Max/C, do either of you have answers for your characters?
Yeah. It's something like arbitrary, in a way. It's like, oh, they like drink or they smoke too much, or they like.
Oh no, I think we crashed.
R.I.P.
It's just being really laggy. I'm back, so I think we have to wait for the stream to catch up.
Should I come join you over there, Connie? Have less people on the Wi-Fi? Is that the problem?
Yeah, C and I are sharing Wi-Fi. It's okay again for now. It's okay again. I think we can try if it crashes one more time. This is the contingency plan. All right, chat, listen up. We're bleeding viewers left and right. Let's put a tourniquet on this thing. If the stream crashes one more time, the plan is to stop streaming and restart the stream. So stay on our channel page and just keep hitting refresh. We're gonna reboot the stream. I know we're probably gonna lose viewers because of this, but we're gonna reboot it. Okay, so that's the contingency plan. If this happens again, we're just gonna restart the stream. All right, so let's get back to Oka's flaw, both perceived and actual. Why don't you just recap from the beginning again what it is for folks who might have missed out on that?
Sure. I think Oka would say something rather similar to V in that, like, what they said. Oh, and we're gone.
Yep, we crashed again.
It's too emotionally charged.
Okay, we're back again. I hate these connectings and disconnectings. I'm gonna put my phone on data mode to save my Wi-Fi. And let's try it again. It keeps like disconnecting and reconnecting kind of like randomly. So if this, if it keeps doing this, I think what we can do is probably we could try to get to the birthday segment early. We might have to cut the Q&A part short just because I don't want people to like have to sit through these like random glitches. We could like do the happy birthday thing and then we can move everything to our Discord where because we're not streaming it, it'll probably be easier to just talk to us. So we're gonna miss out on like having like a cool stream, but we'll be able to continue the talk in Discord if it keeps crapping out. But for now, I'm holding out. It says that my KBs per second is green right now and pretty strong. Whenever it dips into orange or red, that means the stream's about to crash, and I can sort of feel when it's about to crash. But right now it's looking green and it's looking strong, so let's get right back into it. Maybe it's C's description of Oka's flaws that are cursing us, and I'm superstitious, so let's skip C for now and go to Max and go back to C to round us out. I'm just gonna, hey, I don't make the rules. I don't. I'm superstitious, so let's just do that. Max, why don't you tell us, if you know, what Dewey's perceived flaws are and what his actual flaws are?
So I think Dewey, he knows that he's kind of a loner, doesn't really hang around a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And he would say that, it's the fact that he could benefit from, like, other people, their input and opinions, and he like misses out on some stuff because he doesn't really talk to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But I think his real flaw is that like he just doesn't have the space in his mind to maintain social relationships. Mm-hmm. And like in the pursuit of knowledge, he kind of pushes everything else to the side. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
We love a flaw.
We love a dedicated philosopher / academic who doesn't know how to connect with people, right?
We love a flaw.
We love a flaw. Speaking of which, Oka, why don't you / C tell us what Oka's flaws are?
Okay. I think that if prompted the question, Oka themselves would reply that their biggest flaw is that they're too like hot-tempered, or they drink too much, or they smoke too many fantasy cigarettes, or that they don't have any flaws, actually. Badass motherfucker. But I think that their actual flaw as their creator, which I'm really excited to get into a little bit more in upcoming streams, is the fact that they, the idea, this perceived notion that they have that they cannot be loved and that they are not worth being loved.
Damn.
F in the chat, y'all. Woof.
So what I'm hearing is everyone's like, haha, oh, I drink too much, I smoke too much, haha. And in reality, they're like, trust issues. I can never be loved. I cannot form meaningful connections with other people. Which I think is just very relatable. So let's get an F in the chat for that, boys. So let's move on to more questions. We have a question from Scarlett. Thank you so much. You have been so engaged this entire week. I just want to give Scarlett a special shout out. You've been such an engaged viewer, and I appreciate seeing your name pop up in the question section every time, this entire week. Just thank you so much for being attentive and watching us stream. Really appreciate it. So your wonderful question is, what's it like making a D&D campaign / playing a campaign that is viewed by strangers? That is a great question, and one that I have an answer for, but I'm gonna let my players think about it a little bit more. If you have an answer already, just raise a hand. Great. C, why don't you tell us what your experience is like?
It's a little horrifying, for sure. There are not, there aren't very many people I know watching the stream. So usually, so it is really, it is really daunting in a lot of ways. And I find solace in, when we're doing this, in leaning kind of on my performer background. I'm also like a performance artist, theater artist, dancer in like my real life. So performing for strangers is not something that I'm unfamiliar with, but I think the thing that really can be kind of nerve-wracking for me is speaking, because all of those roles, especially as like a dancer, are very much like I speak with my body and in my gestures and in the performance that I'm doing, and this is very much like vocally based and descriptively based. So in that way, it's really daunting. Mm-hmm. It's kind of nice to like not look at the Twitch when we're playing. I think that really helps me like stay focused and engaged and not lean into my my anxieties or my like self-consciousness in that way. Mm-hmm. To just like focus on like the other like amazing players that are here with us, and just be like, whew, okay, like I'm pretending you're not there. Mm-hmm. Kind of moment.
Yeah, I hear you. I can also speak a little bit about this, which is similar to C, I also have some background in performing. Like I mentioned, I think during yesterday's lecture, I've been doing improv for like 11 years, like improv comedy, and I've also been like performing in a lot of theater productions, ever since I was young. So performing in front of an audience is something I'm not exactly unfamiliar with, but streaming is something I'm extremely unfamiliar with. This is my first time streaming ever, so the fact that I can't see my audience and feed off of my audience's energy, especially in like an improv performance, is super weird. It's like super different. Like the only people's energy that I have to feed off of in the room are my players, and they're not even in like the same physical room as me. So which is why after the pandemic ends, I'm really excited. A big plan / goal of ours is to play in the same room and like set up cameras like in Critical Role or like Dimension 20, because then I feel like I like how I DM now. I think something I'm proud of for myself when I GM is my ability to give descriptive, like very vivid descriptions, and I think like my engagement level will go like up like dramatically, like when I have actual players in the flesh to feed off of. But when it comes to performing for an audience, there is definitely also the factor of nerves. I get really, really nervous before every stream. I really do. Like for our pilot episode, C knows this. I was like up late, like worrying. Like I had like a tummy ache. I was like staying up in bed being like, oh my god, what if like the stream crashes? What if I fuck everything up? What if no one shows up? Like I was so nervous. But those nerves sort of dissipate as soon as I hit start streaming, like, because then I'm like, all right, I'm in it, you know. And that's how it's usually always been with me when I perform. I get so nervous right before. When I'm actually doing it, all of my energy is focused on performing, that I can't afford to be nervous. So that's, you know, how I sort of deal with stage fright / how the anxiety affects me playing for an audience versus GMing just for friends at like around a kitchen table. Max / Erica, do either of you have thoughts on this? I also think it's fine if not all of us replies to every single question. If you don't have anything to say, we can just move on, etc. But I would like to open up the space. Erica.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I also, like C and Connie, have a long history of live performance. I've done the improv stuff. I've done a lot of avant-garde theater that takes place in unconventional ways. So that's been something that has made this experience easier. I've also been streaming for like 6 or 7 months. So I'm used to like performing to this camera for the world and not getting that energy back. But it's very different from live performance. I think though the most surreal thing for me is like seeing how excited other people get about our characters, about NPCs, about this world we've built. And then like the art, seeing fan art of my character just like makes me want to cry like happy tears, because I'm just like, I love my character I created, and to see that other people love her too is just like, it makes my heart go all melty.
Yeah, big heart in the chat for all the fan artists out there. Y'all are amazing.
Yeah, seriously, the real MVPs. Max, do you have anything you would like to share?
I don't have a history of public performance, if you couldn't tell. Yeah, I'm echoing what Erica said, in that it's like weird that, I guess that when I play D&D usually with like a small group of people, it's just like the 5 of you, or like however many people, that you share that experience, and like, you know the characters, you know the experiences, and it is super strange to me that like, it's foreign to me that other people can share in that, and I think that's really cool.
I also just wanted to add something else, is that what is fun at our table is not necessarily fun to watch. So something I like, you know, like probably at like a home table, I probably wouldn't do this in front of an audience, is like tracking, like, something I want to do, but I'm not going to make you all do because it doesn't make for good theater, right? Is tracking encumbrance. And, like, being really anal about, like, the little details, you know? And, like, just, you know, being, like, very specific about, like, okay, where's your position? All right, over there on the map? Okay, can you move? All right, can we measure this out? Like, that's not fun to watch, right? Like, you're sitting in the audience being like, I don't know what you're talking about. Where's the battle map? I don't care, you know? So another thing to consider when performing for an audience is what is fun for you and your friends is not necessarily fun to watch. So, like, we're new at this, so we don't know how to draw those lines yet, you know, like, in, like, an expert way. Like, there's something about performing versus just playing that's an extra level of, like, creative investment, and it makes me burn out more energy-wise. Like, after every session of a normal D&D campaign, I'm always like, I feel so creatively drained. You know, I just need to take a break because GMing is a lot of energy, but GMing for a live audience is even more of like an energy drain because I have to be like 100% all the time. You know, like I have to be performing like on top of my game all the time. So that's like another thing to consider, like when performing for an audience versus just GMing for a home game. I think that's like a transition that we're definitely still grappling with. So does anyone else have anything else to say before we move on?
I'm good.
Great, let's move on. So the next question is, someone's rating. Hello.
Whoa!
Welcome.
Ray.
We welcome the Ray. Nian,
Welcome,
you.
Raiders.
Welcome, Raiders. I don't know why it's not showing up on the overlay, but I want to acknowledge it right now. Thank you for raiding. So, moving on to the next question from Tristan. Are there specific bard schools in Endake? I guess this is a me question. I don't know if any of you, because no one here is playing bards, right? So, C, do you have something to say about this question?
No, I'm just, you know.
I thought you were like
I could make it up right now. I could just make it up.
Make up a bard school. Go for it. I challenge you.
I've never played a bard. A bard school of mimes, so that your bards at the table finally shut up about wanting to seduce the big bad evil guy. They have to just mime it out, right?
Oh my god. I want to make a really lewd gesture, but I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. We're gonna try to keep this as PG-13 as possible. Are there specific bard schools in Endake? Yes. Yes. There is. So this was originally supposed to be a podcast, but we decided to turn it into a live stream, and we did a few episodes. We recorded like some, we recorded a few hours for the podcast, and during one of the descriptions of, a character introduction in a podcast, I brought up dream dancers. Similar to like lion dancers in Tulong. They are people who dance with their eyes closed, and they are, in like a half awake, half dream stance. And that is a specific bardic school in Endake that is specific to Tulong. You can be a dream dancer, College of Dream Dancing, which weaves together movement, so dexterity, as well as like a divination magic. If that's a specific subclass that seems interesting to people, I could flesh it out more, but that's the specific one I can think of. Other ones, it would be super cool to develop like a specific subclass for every power. So like a bardic subclass for the clans of Kirtal, maybe like animal speaking. Whoa, that gift sub is so loud. And amazing. It like blew out my eardrums. Thank you for the second gift sub, Sunny. It was like so that is thank you for bringing that up, Tristan. I need to add that to my growing list of things I need to homebrew for Andake that I'm going to write down right now in my moleskin. So let's move on to the next question, which is make bardic schools, which is from Scarlet again. Thank you. Has anyone in Transplanar played in other D&D campaigns before? Who would like to take the lead on this?
I'll just go.
Oh, Eric.
Sure. So I've only started playing D&D just under a year ago. It'll be a year like next month or September, somewhere in there. And it was actually with C and Connie. Connie's been I've had 2 DMs in my life. 2 of the times has been Connie. The other time has been C for one session. So, yeah. I've been part of 3 campaigns. One of them is still kind of ongoing. The other one, kind of the pandemic, is put it out of action for the foreseeable future until we get things back going somewhere in life, I guess, when we can actually see each other. So yeah, that's it for me though. I've never played tabletop RPG before last year.
Yeah. C, do you want to go next?
I've never played anything like live stream or a podcast or anything like that. But I have played quite a lot of D&D. My first, I played a little bit of a campaign where Connie was a player, 2.5, 3 years ago now, probably.
Ooh, yeah, my very first character was a Air Ganassi bard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was a Kenku rogue. Very cute.
Yeah.
Not really related, but the first full campaign that came to conclusion was one that we did basically my junior to senior year of college, which was also DM'd by Connie. So I'm very familiar with Connie's DM style. And, play lots of D&D. I've played lots at this point.
Excuse me, I have pizza in my mouth. I hope this is nice sound effects for y'all. Max, do you wanna talk a little bit about your experience?
Sure. I played like one campaign in high school, I believe, with some high school friends, and then I did like a Discord voice-only campaign for a little bit, but it was really hard for me to pay attention when it was just voices. So I find that like this campaign with the video aspect is it's more suited to what I need to stay focused, which is really nice. Yeah, I played a one-shot that Connie DM'd last year, and that's about all my experience.
Great. Yeah.
Max and I's characters were brothers in that one shot.
Oh yeah, they were brothers. It was such a fucked up one shot. Spring. I feel like a Looney Tunes character being like. Thank you, Sunny.
Sunny's just gift subbing it up.
Left and right. Thank you, Sunny. So I almost said left and right again. Very quickly about my own experience, I started off playing D&D as a GM. I'm kind of like a forever GM. I started off playing, I DM'd a kind of short-term campaign that was supposed to be a long-term campaign, but it sort of fizzled out because these things happen, for a group of friends back home in Boston. That was the first ever campaign I ever GM'd, and my premise for that campaign was that the world has ended and a poisonous, magically noxious fog called the Storm has descended upon the world, forcing all of civilization to migrate to the peak of Siren Song, a mountain range, because that's the only place in the world that the fog doesn't reach. And the remaining 1% of the entire world's population lives up on the peak of Siren Song until the campaign begins, when, researchers realize that the storm is slowly rising and in a matter of months will take over the peak. So they send a group of adventurers, the PCs, into a magical flying ship with magical gas masks on to investigate the storm, battle the strange monsters in there, and discover a cure for the end of the world before the end of the world descends upon the last survivors of humanity. So that was the premise of my first D&D campaign. Needless to say, it did not.
I like apocalypse.
Needless to say, it did not start in a tavern. And I missed out on a lot of D&D tropes because there were no people, like in the storm, for the longest time at least. So that was my first ever campaign, and I've been GMing. I GM'd the Max in a one-shot. That's how I met Max. I put out a one-shot request on a Facebook, D&D group, queer group. And Erica, I met Erica through C because they know each other through theater, and that's how we started playing D&D together. And I played a Air Ganassi Bard in the one campaign I've been a player in. I've also played in a one-on-one campaign with C as a player. I played a Minotaur Barbarian, I think. A Blood Hunter. Yeah, that was what I played. So I have been playing D&D for 3.5 years, almost 4 years now. So yeah, let's move on to the next question. Sorry for talking for so long. Let's do it. The next question is from Norris 001, Oz Norris. Nazi, thank you. I have a question. I play a witch, which is a homebrew class. Homebrew class. If you could play a homebrew class, what would you be? This is a great question. Does anyone have an answer already? Let's do the same, raise your hand if you have an answer. And I'm not going to answer this because I'm a GM, and I'm going to play music to stall until someone has an answer. Erica has an answer. Second time.
It's the second time it's happened. I love it.
Okay.
I saw the question when Nazi first posed it, so I've been thinking about it a little bit. I think some type of gunslinger, because I'm really fascinated by getting to shoot guns, but with some type of magic element. And I actually had a conversation with Nazi about using tarot cards with your character in a homebrew class, and I think some element of gunslinger using tarot cards to charge bullets with magic sounds really interesting to me. I don't know what that looks like, but that would be something I'd be interested in pursuing as a homebrew.
Cool. Max and or C? You also don't have to answer.
I love a brawler subclass. Generally speaking, I love to punch, and I think that the speak. The ability to punch in D&D is not what I want it to be, which is all I'll say. Maybe about that. So some kind of brawler subclass. I need to think about it more because it's like an in-depth question. Connie has made. I saw a question pop up in the chat, so I'll talk a little bit about the subclass that Connie made for me for Oka for this campaign, which is called Order of the Bonded Bloodletting. So when I was making Oka, I was really kind of set on this monster hunter idea, like a monster hunter idea. And the subclasses for Blood Hunter that are currently out there right now are not exactly what I was hoping for. It didn't seem to fit right. And Ranger was the other closest thing, but Max is already playing a Ranger, and I wanted to have some versatility in that martial and magic. So basically, the blonde oh my god, there's too many bees. There's a bee. That's my favorite vine. So the Bonded Bloodletting subclass basically amounts to some different features where Oka can lose hit points by bleeding, and their blood has taken on a kind of corrosive quality through experimentation and through magic. So they can bond their blood to a target, basically, and enact damage, give disadvantage, have advantage on different checks that way. So it's less of a favored enemy, kind of in the way that Ranger is, and more of a magical connection to whichever target you're currently engaged in. And there's some entertaining future fun stuff like that. In the first episode, Oka uses their blood to make a net. So the subclass that's canon already, the too many bees in this subclass. The blood maledict, the blood curse of binding. We just kind of reflavored that to be Oka actually uses their blood to make a net of their own blood to bind the creature. So it's mostly flavor, but there is some good Blood Hunter, Ranger, love child moment. And hopefully we'll share the PDF one day. So be on the lookout.
Yeah, definitely. I have it open
My
right.
long answer.
Yeah, that's a great
cool.
answer. See, thank you for sharing with everyone. Basically, my inspiration behind making the Order of the Bonded Blood, which is the homebrew subclass, is, I was I want something that feels both specific and general, a subclass that is specifically about using your blood to mess up with your enemy's blood. So I was inspired by, if you've ever seen Soul Eater or read Soul Eater the anime, there's a character in it who is canonically non-binary, called Krona, who has this black blood, which is part of they're a witch. They're a soul. It's been a long time since I've seen Soul Eater, so I don't remember the terms. But basically, their blood can take on an actual. It's sort of like venom. It's almost like a symbiote, and their blood can harden at will to make their body basically invulnerable. And their blood can also come out as spikes and penetrate anyone who's within melee. And I was inspired by that in terms aesthetically and also as a concept. So let's move on. Max, I'm assuming you don't have. An answer to that. That's fine if you don't. Let's move on to the next question, which is from our God and Savior. For Erica, did you decide on your sorcerer class after learning about Andake's lore? Because dragons are extinct, and you're draconic ancestry.
The short answer is no. I did not know any of that when I dreamed up V. I'm player types. I'm very much a story first. I'm all about story, but just after that, just barely, I'm very much a min-max player, and I knew the type of character I wanted to play, which eventually is definitely what V became. But then it was looking at all the backgrounds, the classes, and everything. Not so much race, because we took race out of it, but then Connie did send us the world of Andake and some of the the bonuses from being from different places, and so I was just fitting it all together. And I just sorcerer with draconic. I did want to play a magic user. I did know that as well because of my first campaign with Connie. I played a paladin, which was like, so I get some fighting and some magic, and I was like, no, I want to go full on magic for this next character. So, but I didn't know any of the true lore of Andake until after all that was decided.
Cool. Yeah, that is accurate. I sort of sprung the dragons are extinct question on my players, like, kind of at the 11th hour. Because I was like, wait, this is important. Wait. So, yeah, thank you for asking that question, our God and Savior. So moving on, another question from Scarlett is, if you could bring one prop to the stream, what would it be? I have my answer already, and y'all can't stop me. It would be, No, it would be my guitar.
Connie, play Wonderwall.
Okay.
Oh,
wait.
please don't.
Okay.
Please don't.
Okay, I won't. But if I could bring a prop, it would be my guitar, and I would probably be like Dull or someone and be like a wandering minstrel or like a wandering bard. Okay, who else wants to answer this question? I will buy time while you think.
Oh, I got one.
I would just go with better dice that don't roll nat ones like 5 times this session.
Okay, Erica's answer is better dice. That's not a prop. That's a tool. By the way, Max slash see. Did you say booty
I want
shorts?
cargo shorts.
Cargo
Booty
shorts.
shorts. Cargo shorts.
Cargo shorts.
Cargo
Cool.
booty shorts. I think they would help me get into character, and I don't own any.
That's good. I'm glad you don't own any. C, what about you?
I feel like I would want to have like one of those big pretzel rods, so that when Oka, what if I just left it at that? I want a big pretzel rod. I would want a big pretzel rod to use as like a fake, like a fake cigarette for when Oka's smoking, and then I could eat it slowly.
That's cool.
Answer.
Yeah. Or I would want like a huge like rubber hammer that I could just bonk people with. Yeah, that would be what I want. People are spending channel points to highlight play Wonderwall.
I think you have to play at least one chord.
Oh my god, it's been forever. What are the chords for Wonderwall again? Someone look it up because I tried looking it up.
E minor is the first one.
G minor? Okay.
E minor.
G
minor, Connie. Come on. E minor. E minor.
E minor?
Yeah, I think so.
Wait, it's hard. I'm like cramped at my desk.
Hold on.
Wait, what's the next one? Someone save me. What are the chords for Wonderwall? Today.
E minor, G, D, A7 suspended fourth, and then C.
7 suspended 4. A sus 7 is what that is. Wait, I'm out of tune. Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw my ass on back. What? I can't.
I think this is enough. Don't make me send C in there.
Yeah, I won't come in there.
And take your guitar away from you.
That's messed up. Yeah, in my defense, my nails are long and I'm bad at guitar. So let's move on. Let's move on to the next one, which is by Yivniv. Thank you. Also, along with Scarlett, you have been so attentive this entire week. I just wanted to give you a shout out. I believe you're YVI in our Discord. V. I'm just gonna keep calling you Yivniv. Have y'all played together before this? What's y'all's favorite part about each other's play/DMing styles? I can take point on this, and folks can answer after I'm done talking, which is we played together a few times in different ways. So like I mentioned earlier, Transplanar started out as a podcast, and we recorded the first session of our podcast, the pilot episode. It was like an hour, 2 hours long, and we played together to record that. But the process for recording the podcast was quite different because we didn't use video chat. It was just voice. It was like over like Skype or something, I think, and like we recorded it. So that was like a little bit of an odd experience. But before that, we had not played together excuse me, that was disgusting, as a group at all, until we were like, let's play this as a live stream, and we decided to play a one-shot together using a homebrew module I found online, by Loot the Room, on DM's Guild. This is before, I found out about Wizards of the Coast and like realized that I didn't want to support DM's Guild anymore, but I believe this module was free, actually. So we played, it was called the Bullet Storm module, and we like adapted it for this one shot to fit inside the world of Andake, and we played it as a group just so we would like get to know each other more, because I think it's asking a lot of players for a live stream or a podcast to just jump right in without playing together at all and like knowing each other's playing styles first, because one, I don't think it makes for good performance, and two, it can make people feel kind of anxious because you've never played with these people before, even if you're all supposedly like good at D&D, and like good at what you do. A side note, the Bullet Storm adventure, even though I think it was well written, and like all the beats were good when it came to the pacing of the story. A complaint I do have about it is that it was extremely white and extremely male. Every single major NPC was a man, except for the wife of a farmer, right? Whose like defining personality trait was that she was grieving the loss of like her daughter, So I changed all the NPCs to be queer women, and the PCs had a blast. That's my one complaint about Bullet Storm, I would say. Yeah, so what about other folks? Do y'all have a way of responding to this?
I think you did a really good job of just of answering that question, the first part. But I'll shout out something I love about my other players and about our DM Connie, which is that, in a joking way, I can bully Connie to make whatever I want for me, like my little, I can have any subclass I've ever desired. In a lot of ways, but really, Connie is so dedicated to making the space one where we all feel wanted and valuable, and bringing not just giving us a beautiful story, but bringing us into our own stories, and letting us develop something together. Even though you are at times pedantic about how many torches we have technically, which is also something that I love about you. And then y'all have seen it. Erica makes great fucking character choices. And I feel like I can always rely on you, Erica, to just take whatever we're doing and mess with it in the funnest way. And I rely 100% on Max for those one-liners, for those little one-liners that just bam, bring the house down. They're perfect.
For sure.
And oh my god, Devin's ability to since they're also a player and we miss them dearly, they're still here with us, just not here right now. Devin's ability to dive into character and to commit to to character and to character choices is so much fun to play with and against, and it just makes it so it's such a rich character world that I feel Devin is able to create. It's really awesome.
Definitely. And at the end of every session, I don't know why the audience would know this, but I want to talk about it. At the end of every session, we've implemented this house ritual to instead of just logging off, being great session, bye. We all go around and we do call outs. So each person says one thing that every other person and the GM did during that session that they liked. And then after we do call-outs, we hold space for feedback about things that made us uncomfortable, choices that we didn't like, or anything we want to, just give feedback to other players and to the GM, or to be hey guys, can we not use that word in the future? Or I thought that bit went on a little too long, let's be mindful of pacing in the future, stuff like that. And we also hold space for people to affirm the feedback or give feedback on the feedback. And then finally, we go around again and we do self call-outs. So we each go around and say one thing that we liked that we did during the session. And I highly encourage you to implement this at your own table, even if you're not streaming. I think it's a great ritual to put into place, and it fosters communication, and it fosters respect and trust among players, and it fosters an environment where boundaries are welcome and expected. Yeah. So let's move on, right? Unless Max and or Erica, you have something to add?
I'll just say, to say something about C, since they said something, and I pretty much agree with everything they said except for whatever they said about V. I will say that C is also a really creative, bold player that will just, when there's a choice to be made, and people are maybe hesitant, C is not afraid to just jump in there and make a big, bold choice that's going to keep things moving. And I also, because V is the way that V is, I really appreciate playing with Connie as the DM, because we keep each other on their toes, and I really enjoy that. So
yeah, I'm okay, you rolled a nat 1. There are insects all over the ground now. Look at what you've done.
Then perish.
Then perish. So on that note, let's move on to the next question, which is... the next one was from Scribnor Sid. I think that's...
We already answered this question.
We already answered it, yeah. So it's crossed out. So let's move on to the next one's from Tristan. Yikes, it's Tristan. Did y'all use unearthed arcana things? Do the players want to take point on this during your character creation process? Did you use stuff from UA? Max, I know Dewey uses the Unearthed Arcana Ranger, right? You don't use the one that's in the core rules.
I think I used the one in the core rules.
Really? Oh, it's so underpowered. Okay, that's fine.
I took some stuff from online though, so I don't know if that's exactly UA.
I think I gave you the UA PDF. I'm almost certain for you to make Dewey out of. That's why you don't have to give up your action for your sword to attack. Because in the core rules, the ranger has to give up their action for their pet to attack, which is... Max looks terrified. Regular ranger.
That's from next stream.
Max, I'm almost certain you use Unearthed Arcana. Why do I know more about your character than you do? Birthday boy!
If everyone asks, you can shame me for it, I guess.
It's totally fine. I said so at the beginning of when we were building our characters that I am in charge of the rules, y'all are in charge of your characters, so I really don't know too much about what's going behind the scenes for the characters, which I actually like, because this means the players can take me by surprise. Do C and Erica, you want to say something about this?
I didn't use anything from Unearthed Arcana, although Connie did give us the option to really play around with what it means to be an elf sorcerer, taking elements of other things and stitching them together. From a lack of creativity, I didn't do much of that.
Yeah, as I mentioned in my very first lecture of Andake Understood about envisioning a non-colonial anti-orientalist world, for our race system, which is where, in the core rules, that's where you get your ASIs, which is ability score increases, we didn't use canon rules for a race. We used James Introcaso's on World Builder blog. I think it's called Reimagining D&D Races or something like that. The title honestly doesn't give the system enough credit. But basically, it's a point buy system where you can buy features, racial features, and stitch them onto your character. So anyone could fly, right? Anyone can have breath, dragon breath. But the way that the features ended up shaking out is everyone was I like the vanilla features. That's fine. So people just ended up largely sticking with the normal racial traits. I know that Devin, who plays Manaya as a half-orc, renamed, what's it called, Savage Critical or something? There's something that half-orcs have access to that has Savage or Brutish in the name, or Brute Strength or something, and Devin reflavored it to be Adrenaline Rush. Instead of oh, I'm a savage orc, which is really racist. They're it's an adrenaline rush because I'm a trained warrior, So moving on past that is also from Yikes, it's Tristan. What kind of bard is Dahl, and where is he from? Please, I'm obsessed with this idiot. So for those of you who haven't seen Transplanar, Dal, or is short for Dalapathi Saeed, he is one of the main NPCs that the players have come in contact with. He is a traveling bard, and as we find out, a liar. He has a husband that he loves very much, called Kathor. Dal's... Okay, I guess it doesn't hurt to tell you more about the stats of these characters. Dal is a bard from the College of Glamour, which is in Unearthed Arcana. I hope that satiates your craving for Dalapathi content. Glamour basically means you're pretty and you're slutty and you're horny, is my interpretation of it. So...
Bonk!
So moving on to the next question. I think that's all in terms of audience questions that I see here. And it's just about an hour past when we started. So we can move into the birthday part, unless folks want
to the birthday party, birthday party. Okay. I love birthday.
So I need everyone in chat to join me in singing happy birthday to Max. I hope I don't mess up the chords. 5, 6, 7. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Max.
Connie, sing it faster!
Happy birthday, dear Max.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to you.
It's really hard to all sing at the same time on Discord because it just comes out a hard blog of mess.
Yep. Happy birthday, Max. How
Happy
old are
birthday,
you?
Max.
Why don't you share it with everybody? How old are you now?
21.
21. You can now legally drink. Good job. So we are now going to transition into the birthday games and birthday party part of the birthday party. Also, because this is Max's birthday party, I would like for us to say something we love about Max.
Oh god, more validation?
Yes, more validation. Would either of you like to start? I can also start.
You start, Connie.
I'll start. Maxie Baxie. I would like to say that it's been an absolute pleasure to GM you. You know, from the moment that we played in that one shot that you responded, you know, to my ardent plea for players in Queer Exchange Twin Cities, you know, from the very moment you stepped in, I was like, you're my child now. And I had so much fun DMing Rorik, who was your first character that I got the pleasure of DMing. And
Really?
something I specifically wanted when inviting players to be part of the Transplanar live stream is a range of experiences and playstyles. Because it's great to have like a live stream or a podcast where everyone's funny men and we all crack jokes about pooping, you know, but I wanted not that. I wanted people who are very diverse in thought and diverse to playstyle, and I thank you for bringing your unique playstyle to the table. I know you might not like say, you know, be talking all the time, but when you do contribute, it is valued and it is very much appreciated by me, the GM, and by all the other players, and I'm so excited to see where this live stream goes with you and where your personal journey leads you. Talk that, bitches.
Fuck you, Connie.
So, C or Erica, would you like to say something nice about Max?
Number one, I tell you this, Max, a number of times, but I love your hair. Best hair ever. But secondly, I really love that you are an extremely thoughtful player. And when you do make a choice, you know, it feels so incredibly right that, like, I've never been like, that's a weird choice, or like, that doesn't feel true to character. And there's just like so much, especially like in episode 2, I just like, when I went back to listen to it, you know, a few days later, like, your one-liners are just so unbelievably perfect. They just like, your timing and everything with them is just so unbelievably wonderful to experience as both a player and listening back as a listener. And I love you.
No. Thank you.
And C.
Oh, me. Oh, Max. Um, yeah, I think there's something really special about a person who can say yes, like so willingly and with like so much care and love and thought. And I just like, I feel like I could like come at you as a as a player, as a person with like pretty much anything, and you would have a like thoughtful and dedicated response to it. I don't mean like literally saying yes. I just mean like embracing like whatever it is that like me as a player or me like as a person would like be able to like take to you and like have you hold it like with thought and with care, and like that feels really special to me. And I like so enjoy playing with you like from the moment that you were like, yeah, I'll be your twin brother, sure, in this first campaign where I didn't know you and I was like, brother. To when I came home for my surprise birthday party and you were there with a dice bag and a beautiful card and like such a like sweet array of gifts, and I was like, wow, like this person like really came through for me in a way that I didn't know I needed, and it was like really heartwarming. So like as a friend and as a player, love you from the bottom of my little heart.
Yeah, we love you, Max. We love you, Max. Thank
W
you.
in the chat for Max.
Yes, I love all the
so
W's.
many W's in chat.
W's
for
and
Max.
hearts. So now, is it time for us to end the stream and move to Discord? Is there anything else that we're missing?
Can't wait for you guys to roast me after validating me.
Yeah. It's on
yeah.
now, Max.
Now
really
it's
down.
fun.
Oh, it's happening. Because I went to Hampshire College. That's why I say happening instead of happening. Anyway, so I'm gonna drop.
come in there.
I dare you. I dare you to come in here and beat me up. I double dog dare you. You're not gonna do it. You're not gonna do it.
And stream.
You're not gonna. Okay, I'm gonna very quickly before C kicks my ass. Everybody join the Discord server. The link is in the chat.
Oh God. See, how'd you?
It was pretty good.
Okay, it's reconnected. Okay, so we are going to sign off now. Join our Discord server. We have a public voice channel anyone can hop into, and we're gonna start playing some Jackbox games. Give us a little bit of time to set it up, but we should be up and running by 6:30 p.m. here where we are, Central. So take a little bit of time, take a bio break, take a tech break, introduce yourselves in general chat, grab some pronouns and give me pronouns, introduce yourself, and yeah, we're gonna sign off now. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for asking your questions. We love you. We love Max. Happy birthday, Max. Happy birthday to anyone else's birthday who it might be. And we will see you in Discord. Let's play Jackbox games. Let's play Jackbox. Bye-bye. Thank you for coming.
instead of slowly, instead of last. If my father survives me, if I explode, if I go